welcome to the Universe is Talking podcast. I'm your host, King.
And I'm your host, Aja.
Today we have episode number 7, and the title is it relationship insecurities or is it self-insecurities?
Okay. This week, Ayesha Curry has been the topic of many controversial conversations regarding, more specifically, her and the comments that she made in a recent interview on the Red Top table with Jada Smith and her family. But her comments or the interview itself kind of brought up some of the concerns that women can sometimes have being in a relationship with men, and also specifically those that live kind of in the limelight and have a groupie culture surrounding them. So to start with this, we have to kind of go back a little bit with Ayesha. And I'm really not someone who follows celebrity gossip, so I actually had to look up what the comments were that she made some years ago that made people very aggressive with her this week. But Ayesha had made some previous comments about women regarding the way that they dress and those that wear revealing clothing, and just basically making judgments about them that came off as, like she felt like she was better than they were because they were showing parts of their body and the things that they did to gain attention from men. And that she felt like, that wouldn't be anything that she would do, that she was good where she was, basically being covered up. And at that time, she received a lot of backlash from many women who do wear more revealing clothing. And those same women, or at least the culture of women who feel this way, are now kind of basically biting or chomping at the bit, to get at Ayesha for the comments that she made most recently in the Red Top. So I want to first say, addressing those comments from Ayesha's past, from what I understand, she married Steph, or she got with Steph when she was 15 years old. Not making any excuses here. And actually, our show is always a judgment-free zone. So I'm making no judgment either. But the thing about it is she got involved with him very young and didn't really have practical single life experience, like what it's like to really be a 20-something or 30-something, or just even see who she would have become without having a man in her life, because pretty early on, the man who ultimately ends up being her husband was already in her life. And I think that makes her have an experience that so many other young women don't necessarily have, and have to kind of navigate what it's like to be a woman, period, without having a man to kind of, be a part of your identity. So I just want to first say that, and then, go into one of the statements that she made during the Red Talk, which actually wasn't just an Ayesha interview. It was all the women that are part of the Curry family. And in this conversation, Jada kind of brings up women being around her husband and how Ayesha deals with that type of attention. I'm trying to remember if Ayesha answered this question first.
No,
or
the mother
Steph.
answered
Okay.
first. And I don't want to get her name wrong, so I'll just say Steph's mother.
Yeah, Steph's mom. I don't know her name either. But Steph's mom admitted that, that it was no different then. There's always been women that have been around. Her husband was also an NBA player, right? 30 years ago. And there were groupies then. And the way that she kind of dealt with it or saw it was he's getting attention because he's a good looking man, and Like I want him to, like, basically I want to be able to say that's my man. So unless something was outright disrespectful, she allowed it to just be. But Aisha was very clear in saying that it really makes her uncomfortable that there are so many women around. And I believe that it probably fuels some sort of anxiety in her and maybe even an insecurity in her. And I can't remember if she used those exact words, so I don't want to quote. So my first point here, because she is a married woman, and being a married woman, I do understand to a degree some of that angst that comes without even my husband being part of, the public life and having thousands and millions of people who are watching our relationship, or thousands of women that are attracted to him and could possibly find access to him. Without having that type of pressure alone, still just being a married woman and having had some experiences with other women being around him, I understand to a degree being a tad bit uncomfortable. But this is where our topic comes in, where the question is it a relationship insecurity, or is this like a self-insecurity, like something that Aisha or any woman in this position, is it about her, or is it just about not being sure about how to navigate some of the things that happens in marriage? And it sounded to me like it might have been a little bit of both, but mostly a self thing. Because I would expect that at this point in her marriage, and anybody who's been married for some time, that you kind of know how to deal with women who are trying to get at your man. And not only that, you dealing with it, but he needs to or should know how to deal with it. And you all should have some sort of understanding and routine in place for these things, depending on just how far it goes. And in this Red Table Talk, and I know you watched it too. We both.
Yeah, we pretty much watched it together.
Yeah.
Our way of doing that.
I think that there was it was clear that there was a difference between women who are just outright disrespectful and just women who are around and or kind of trying to be appealing or be noticed. And I felt like Aisha should kind of figure out how to get over it, get over that part, because that's not going to end. While I understood, though, why it would make her uncomfortable, it's not going to end. And as long as Steph is doing what he's supposed to do, then you should be cool. I kind of have the position of his mom. Like,
right.
My husband is a finance man. I understand, like he's like, he hit like 10 straight threes tonight. Like, there's a good reason why you're attracted to him right now, and I'm all for it. But look, don't touch. But a lot of women have problems with that, and
have problems with women looking.
Even looking.
Yeah, I agree
even
with
you. Desiring your man. And I think you can't do anything about that. That's beyond your control, what somebody else wants. What someone else does can create an environment where you either must do something or you're expecting something to happen. And I've always held this position. I'm not handling nothing, not when it comes to no other woman. That's your job. That's your job. Early on, I don't believe we were married yet. And this is going to be funny for him because he does listen to our podcast. But I don't think we were married yet. But we were seriously involved and very close to marriage. He and I went into a grocery store and we ran into somebody that he had class with because my husband was in an adult education program at a local university. And the woman clearly found him attractive, who wouldn't, and made it very clear that she did. Had no problems there, but after the introduction of me and her, I felt like the conversation should have pretty much ended. But the conversation continued. And it was clear she wasn't going to let this conversation end. And I felt like it was his job to end the conversation because we had a mission. We were there for a reason. This wasn't a social call. We were in a damn store. It's time for this to be a wrap, and we need to go. But he was being super polite and probably feeling himself a little bit. Let's just be real. And so, and I didn't like it. It did piss me off. I wasn't jealous, but it pissed me off because I felt his behavior should have been different. So what I did to end this shit, at least for myself, is I walked away. I didn't say nothing. I just walked away and I went out to the car and I waited. Within a few moments, he shows up and he asks, "What's up?" And I'm like, "What's up is that you carried on a conversation for longer than it needed to go on." And I felt like that was disrespectful and I wasn't going to stand there for it. I think that I made it very clear what my expectations were. And anytime something made me uncomfortable, I always would make it very clear what I felt should have happened if it didn't happen that way, so that I wasn't like one of those women who was sitting there like pissed off, but he couldn't figure out the why. And he would just keep doing stuff that would hurt me or bother me. So I would always communicate. And if for some reason, which we didn't get, this never happened, but I also felt like he may have had a point of view that I just didn't see. And if he shared it, I would have been probably open to hearing his point of view and understanding it from his point of view. I imagine that there is a point of transition for men and women, because I know for myself, where you go from being single to being married, and you're figuring out how to be in a relationship and committed relationship and really married. So to me, relationship insecurity is natural in the beginning because you don't know how to do all those things yet. You've been single and your expectations may be very different than the person that you're with. So if Aisha was new in her marriage, I would say that this makes a lot of sense. But given that they've been together for so long, I feel like it's more of an internal thing that she's got to work on. And maybe she don't need to work on it. If it's not affecting her marriage and she's not losing sleep at night, then I would say then this may not be anything she has to work on. None of us are perfect. But I think because it's a topic.
It seems like she might be losing sleep over this.
Yeah, exactly.
Nights.
Right.
She seems very bothered.
Right.
And that's not to say that she's wrong for feeling that way. It's just an observation.
I'm right there with you. And I don't necessarily think she's wrong for feeling that way because I don't think that most people understand that experience at that level. But I also think that she has set herself up by some of the comments and positions she has held. She has set herself up or put herself up on a pedestal and made it very hard for herself to then, then also say, but I'm not perfect, I'm weak. And I think that's now where she's at, is it seemed as if she had put herself in a place where she had it all together and had it all figured out. And it was all these women who were kind of fucked up. And now, in her humanness, she's admitting she doesn't have it figured out because these women are going to be these women regardless. But you got to figure out how to be a wife and not be getting tripped out by the fact that these women around your husband. And if he's this man that you keep saying that he is, you don't got to be following around him day and night. And if, let's just put it this way, if he slips up, he slips up.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
We are going to get to the if he slipped up part of it.
Okay. So I talked about kind of the insecurities that a married woman might have being in a relationship, especially a relationship where there's lots of women around men. But I'm kind of curious from your point of view, what are some of the insecurities that men deal with? Because we don't really hear about that too much. There's just a lot of talk about us and our shit and how crazy we are, but never really what men trip out about.
Yeah, y'all crazy as hell.
I'm not going to deny. Some of us really, really are. Yes.
All right. So before I get into answering your question, let me just first say that with Aisha getting with Steph when she was 15, that's kind of the gift and the curse of marrying that first one. You don't get to experience what it's like to not be with someone and have to find yourself. She's been with him all of this time. All she knows is him. And all she knows about herself is how she is with him. Again, that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It just is what it is, and we are only making an observation about it. And here we are current day.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge that we are specifically talking about Steph. We're not talking about all men, some generic man, some made-up man, some man that does not exist. We are specifically talking about Steph Curry, who's a magician on the court. Women tend to underestimate how much time goes into a man perfecting his craft on any level, whether that's sports or is not sports. If that man has mastered his craft, he spent hours upon hours practicing whatever it is that he does. In this case, practicing that three-point shot, practicing his dribble, practicing the stutter step, the pump fake that's going to work in the game. He spends unlimited amount of hours working on every single one of those moves. So much so that Steph specifically has changed the game like we have never seen it before. All of those hours being that he has unlimited unavailability to be out fucking the hoes.
True. Kinda.
And kinda.
You all find plenty of time. Like all the kids, it just could take 25 minutes.
But not Steph, though. But not Steph.
Okay.
And the proof in this is, if Steph has a bad game, he's having a bad game because he's human. He's not having a bad game because he was out fucking the hoes. You can tell by his reaction every single time that the shot don't drop. He never looks like he expected that shot not to drop. He's always trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with the ball. What the hell is wrong with the rim in the court today? Because this shot is supposed to drop. A nigga that was not out there mastering his craft night in and night out, game in, game out, whether there's practice or no practice, he's going to show signs of knowing that today was going to be a bad day. Going backwards into an earlier episode, if he's not supplying the type of dick that he would normally supply, and he does not seem all the way surprised about it, there's a reason behind it. And most commonly, the hoes are the reason behind it. But Steph is not that type of guy. You can look at him and tell that he's just focused on making that three-point shot, having all his dribble combinations down for when he's not going to shoot the three and he's going to drive and get closer to the hole. And after that, he just want to give Aisha all the babies that he could possibly give her.
Yeah.
All right, so for women observing this without the intentions to attack Aisha, always consider how much time is that man putting into becoming the master at what he does and also better at what he does. Don't generalize that man and fit him into a category of every other man that you think would do whatever it is that you're thinking.
Mm-hmm. But he is a man. And they've been together for a really long time. And I imagine just as she is human, he is human, and his life isn't always basketball. There have been moments that there have been women because there was her. So he knows, he obviously has an eye for the opposite sex.
For her.
So yes, for her. But, and listen, trust me, I am not implying that he is the type of man who goes around cheating on his wife or even when she was a girlfriend. I'm just saying that even the most committed and honorable and faithful man can also slip up. It is possible. It is possible. And one thing that I've always said on the show, every time we talk about marriage, or at least I've said it once before, but I say it often whenever I'm talking to people about their opinions about other people's marriages. I've always said, you don't know what the fuck goes on in no one's marriage. You never know. I don't care if both people are saying something at the same time, you still have no idea what's going on in that marriage. The only people that is knowing what's happening in a marriage are the two people in it.
Yeah,
and even they see it differently. But the point is, they are the only knowing people. Everyone else are spectators. I have people who believe, there are people who believe that in order to be happy or to appear happy, or when they see people do certain things, they think that this means they're happy. Like couples who love each other cuddle at night, or couples who love each other smile at each other all the time. Or that, when I saw a picture of so-and-so and so-and-so, I could tell that they're really happy with each other. You can't tell shit. You don't know nothing. You don't know anything. Some people do not like to cuddle. And if both parties are fine with that, why the fuck you care? You have no idea what's happening in the marriage, including whether somebody slipped up. And he can be the most honorable person. It does not mean that he's not fucked up in all the years they've been together, King. That's all I'm saying. In all the years, it is possible there was a slip up. And maybe that possibility of the one slip up is why she's sitting there tripping out. But I'll let you get back to what you were saying. Sorry.
And I do agree with you. But one thing that has never happened since the very beginning of time, 8 million years ago,
okay.
there's no evidence that exists that will prove that a black man has ever cheated. So Aisha doesn't have to worry about that. And any woman that is married to a black man does not have to worry about that. There has never been a time that a black man has cheated. So you're good to go.
Okay, I'm
Nothing
good to
worry about. There you go. You good. Don't worry about
it. All right. Okay.
All right. So your question is, what are some insecurities that men have with their women? Throughout our friendship, I'm talking about you and I, we have been studying and observing the interactions between men and women. And we've pretty much come to the conclusion that the same way that women feel, men feel.
Right.
So here on the podcast, I want to make our listeners aware that the same insecurity that Aisha Curry has with all of the women being around Steph, and she's not sure if he's going to be able to remain faithful and committed to her and their family and their household. There's a world full of men that absolutely cannot deal with their woman getting attention from a man other than themselves. It drives them fucking crazy. So much so that they will start an argument with the woman. 9 times out of 10, they won't do anything at all to that man that's right there giving her that attention. But they'll most likely start the argument with the woman. They'll create a bad environment with the woman in the car, when they get home, etc. In some cases, those men lose so much control of themselves, they will embarrass that woman right there in public. Again, they won't approach the man. They won't address the man. They will attack that woman, though. And hopefully that attack is not physically. I seriously hope it's not a physical attack, but they will verbally attack her in a way that will make her feel so bad about herself. And it's not her fault. If you didn't want a woman that was going to get attention, you should have married a crackhead. She already lost her body. Her glory days are long gone. You marry her, the only attention she's going to get is from the crack pipe.
And the dealer.
Right. And the dealer. And the dick that she might be sucking to get crack.
Right.
But the point is, you chose to be with this woman and she chose to be with you. You aren't the only man that saw her. Everybody sees her. If she's a woman that's pretty, for some reason men have a habit of telling every single woman that she's beautiful and they don't even know her. But if this woman is pretty, then she's pretty to everybody. She's not just pretty to you. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but she's pretty to more men than just you. And you have to accept that. And if you can't accept that, then go check yourself. Find out what the fuck is wrong with you that make you think that your woman can't accept a compliment and keep it moving. Now, if she's just running off smiling in the face of every man that gives her a compliment, then you shouldn't have married her ass in the first place, because she's probably giving that pussy away. But we'll talk about that when we finally get to that topic right there.
Yeah.
But most women have control of themselves, and they've been hearing that they're pretty. Scratch that. They've been hearing how sexy they are all of their lives. They've been hearing how beautiful they are all of their lives. So much so to the point that they're tired of hearing this shit at this point. It don't even affect them the same way that it used to affect them when they were 16, 17, 18. We're talking about a grown woman who's in her mid to late 20s. She's in her 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. She's heard this shit all of her life. Why the fuck are you tripping? She's not even tripping. Now, what you're going to do by reacting that way, you are going to push her into looking at you different. You're not necessarily going to push her into being with somebody else, but you're going to push her into looking at you different because you can't handle the attention that she gets. The same insecurities that Aisha have, there's men who have that same exact insecurity.
Yeah, and I was going to say that Aisha's insecurities, and because going back to what I said about not knowing what happens in a marriage between two people, we have no idea how her insecurities play out at home, because we see the outside, we see the smiling, we see the image, and we have no idea how all the things that are bothering her about other people and how they approach him, and whether he's too nice, because, she said that he's a very nice guy. If he's too nice, if he didn't respond quickly enough, if he didn't, shrug off in advance quickly enough, what that led to later on between the two of them when the children are asleep and it's just them. And I imagine that, it can be tiring for him and or any man that's in a relationship with a woman who has this insecurity. Because here's my thing. When I tell you how I feel, once I have figured out what has upset me. Because I'm one of those people that I may feel an emotional thing about something that I saw or experienced, but if I cannot communicate what that feeling was about, what the issue was, I'm probably not ready to talk about it. Because I don't want to be one of those people that when you ask me what's the problem, I go, I don't know. Or, like I might say what the problem is, but then when he asks me, well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm like, I don't know, just do something. Like, no. So I would rather think about what it is so that I can express exactly what bothered me. And then if it's the type of situation that needs some change in behavior, at least from my point of view, I can express that. So if they have already had that conversation where she has laid out what she feels and what she thinks he's done or not done that should be helping her with this, and he's either made his attempt and it's still not enough, or he's not made his attempt, like, to me, you can't keep badgering a person. They are who they are. If he doesn't see the need to change, or if there is no need for change, then you're going to have to let this one go, honey. And, or face just being miserable, because this is a lifetime thing. He's never not going to be popular, and he has to really fall from grace. And if he ages well, he's just going to be a fine ass, older, used to be, popular athlete that's still going to get attention wherever he goes. And so, this is something she's got to just, figure out internally. It seems like she uses medication to deal with anxiety, though in the conversation or the interview, she didn't connect the anxiety to these issues, but I wouldn't be surprised if the anxiety was connected to a lot of the insecurity. I mean,
yeah, it has to be.
People that I know who have anxiety issues have a lot of insecurity issues. And, because if you're so unsure about a lot of things, you're worried about a lot of stuff. And it manifests itself in ways that are just, aren't healthy. So I imagine that this medication may help dull those feelings, which may be to a benefit, but at the same time, is that what you want to do for the rest of your life, is pop a pill in order to cope? If it works, okay, whatever. They say in recovery, whatever is the thing that works for you is what's most important. But one of the things that you mentioned was attention, that men sometimes have problems with the attention that their fine-ass woman is getting. First off, you're right. My entire life, I've heard that I was pretty, beautiful, sexy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was
a wagon-carrying woman.
Yes, all of that, all of it. And when I was younger, I think it mattered more because I was still in that phase of building my self-identity and becoming comfortable with who I was as a young woman. But at this point, I am so self-assured. I mean, like, I'm not saying I never, ever, ever feel unsure about anything, but the majority of the time, I do not. I feel very sure of myself. I feel very confident. I don't have to tell anybody I'm beautiful. I am. So when you tell me I'm beautiful, I say thank you. But I don't hunger for it. I don't look for it. I don't beg for it. I don't even put myself in a position to receive it because I don't need you to tell me I'm anything. I know who I am. But I say all that to say that Aisha, the other thing that she's been getting hit for is admitting that even as a married woman, that she would sometimes like to feel desired, or that there are men who find her attractive. that, give her attention. There were some side comments from her mother-in-law and Jada, you just don't notice the men and blah, blah, blah. And I really don't want to address that part because, yeah, I mean, she's an attractive woman to somebody. And so, yes, she's going to be getting attention. But here's something that I know, being married. I can post a picture with obviously all my assets hanging out if I did. But I'm just saying if I were to post that type of picture, it is not likely, no matter how many men who seen this picture and think, damn, that they will comment because I'm married.
Right.
Most men do not come at married women openly like that, and even hesitate to come at you privately. What they do is angle themselves in such a way that allows you to see them. And if you want to be discreetly involved in something, then you can. But for the most part, they don't come at me like that, which I appreciate. You get a few who cross the boundary mostly because they feel comfortable. They've had enough contact with me, so they think, okay, I can say whatever I want to say. And I know how to deal with those types of comments. But even if I just posted a picture of my face, that can happen. And so I get male attention, but I would say I don't get the type of male attention that a single woman would get. And it doesn't bother me because this is going to sound arrogant or conceited, but I know I'm the shit. I know I'm the shit. I know that I'm a beautiful person. I don't need you to tell me that. So whether I got, if we're talking social media, for instance, if I only got 2 damn comments and 5 damn likes, I know that there was 2,000 people that fucking saw it, and for whatever reason they didn't make any act. They didn't tell me but I know that if somebody saw me and thought I was beautiful, why would I care? Why would I need that from you? I don't need that from you. I know what I am. And the husband that I have makes it very clear to me that I am all those things that I already know that I am. But I also understand Aisha in the sense that what she's saying is the same thing I think a lot of men also feel. And, it's much more prevalent in conversations about midlife crises that men go through, where older men get to that place where they wonder if they still have it. So they start to do cornball shit in order to be more attractive to younger women, to get that attention still, because they feel like they've lost it because, they've been a husband and probably a father and just doing all the right things and nobody's really paying attention. And when they post a picture, most women ain't saying nothing because, he's married, so they know his wife is looking. So, they're not making any type of sudden moves. It could be hard to get that instant gratification, especially when you're seeking it. And I think that her comment revealed to me that she, again, it just confirmed the things that we're talking about, that she, along with many women, and there's nothing wrong with people who are this way. I think what it is it can make your life harder to be this way. That's all. I think it's a hard and tough thing to be dealing with when you're in a relationship, to always be feeling insecure, because there's going to be a ton of things to feel insecure about. Because when you're married to someone else, the only person that you can control is you. You can't control shit he does. So he will always be doing something that, from your point of view, ain't the right thing or isn't what you all agreed upon. So if you have insecurities, you're always going to be worried. You're always going to be uncomfortable because he's always going to be doing something. You're just going to be like, he didn't do it the way that I thought he should have, or that offends me. But getting back to Aisha, her seeking and wanting this male attention, a lot of people were digging into her for it. When I think that there's a lot more women that really understand Aisha, whether they're single or married. There are a lot of single women that are seeking male attention all the time. And I think that those very same women may have trouble when they are actually involved or married and they don't get that same level of attention from men. All right, I ran my mouth for like 15 minutes. You got something to say?
Yeah, but you're good. I enjoy listening to your viewpoints on all of our topics. So I want to go backwards for one second. When Aisha was saying how all of the women being around Steph makes her feel, she said that he doesn't know how to deal with it. He doesn't see it coming. That makes me wonder then, if you feel like he doesn't see it coming and he doesn't know how to deal with it, then what are you tripping for to begin with? He's not even focused on that attention from those women in that way. Steph's a friendly guy, so yeah, he's probably smiling and saying hello, saying thank you. He might be having those conversations with those women, but you yourself said that he doesn't know how to deal with it. He doesn't see it coming, whatever that it is. If he doesn't see it coming, he's not looking for it. He has no intentions of doing anything that's going to take him away from practicing everything that he normally practices and then being with his family for the family time and giving you more babies, which you two seem to be doing a very good job at. So again, you yourself have given us the assurance that he's not looking to get away from you. You need to accept also, and I'm not speaking to Aisha, of course. I'm just speaking about women who feel that way. If you have this type of man, because not every man is out looking to fuck with the hoes. If you have this type of man who don't see it coming, you need to accept that and accept that he will always make his way back to you once practice is over, once preparation is over. He's clocked out, and now it is his time. He's going to be home at the hotel, spending time with you on the phone, video chat, FaceTime, whatever technology you're using. He's going to have that time with you, which is, again, your reassurance that he is fully committed to whatever that agreement and commitment is that the two of you have. So, I'm sorry, go ahead, I hear you.
You could tell I was going to say something.
Go ahead.
I think that when she said that he doesn't seem to see it coming and doesn't know how to handle it, while I hear what you're saying, I also took it two ways. She was criticizing his methods or non-method publicly, but kindly, gently. But I imagine that after all these years and all of the levels of groupies that he's encountered, she has had the conversation where she has made it very clear what she expects for him to do in these situations, and he still is doing it his way. And this is the thing about marriage. You are two individuals, period. You are two individuals that hopefully move and make decisions as one, but you're still two individuals. You have two different opinions and ways and backgrounds and all kinds of things. You cannot control this other person. And if he is this happy going, laid back, cool, and possibly he don't give a fuck. If he feels exactly as you say, I am focused and concentrating on the game of basketball and making sure that my shot is always pure. I know the plays that if that is his focus and his everything outside of her and their family, then he might be like, this is some dumb shit. Because the reality is, I'm not going home with none of them. I'm not going to say anything inappropriate. So no, Aisha, I'm not going to shove the chick, away from my 5-foot radius. You know what I mean? Like, she can go ahead and do that because it doesn't mean anything. There's no risk involved for me. And that could be his position and why he's not doing anything, because he doesn't see the need to do it. I know that there are a lot of couples that have this challenge with having differing ways of handling problems. And for her, this groupie thing is a problem that needs to be solved rather than something that she's got to accept. Because, see, here's my opinion. The groupies ain't going away.
They never will.
They never are going away. This isn't anything that can be solved. Whether he is nice or mean or approachable or unapproachable, whether he, walks 10 feet away as soon as somebody comes up to him, I don't care what he does. There will always be women, and they will always find a way, and the only thing that you could ever do to make yourself feel good is to just be and feel secure. And secure in the knowledge, like you said, King, that no matter what, he's coming home. Now, am I saying that you ignore all the signs and signals if he were to do something that he shouldn't do? No. I'm just saying that you're not seeking them. You're not looking for the signs and the signals. What you see is what he's giving you, which is he's the good man. And that's all you can concern yourself with. And worrying about these women is only going to drive you nuts. And, I mean, he got, another 10 years playing? I mean,
depending on how his body holds up, of course.
Yeah. So, that's going to be a long time of being crazy about it. And,
just because he's not playing anymore doesn't mean the groupies will go away either.
Well, I have already said that, but I'm just saying, the level head will lower a little bit, and he'll slow down enough, depending on whether he's an analyst or, but life should become a lot more slower, and they become much more situated in one place where she doesn't necessarily need to worry about all of the travel involved. Hopefully he finds a home somewhere, and maybe that'll make her feel better, but she's got to be able to feel better. And I say has to, because she don't got to do shit, to be honest. But if I were her,
for her
peace of mind, just get it through your head. You can't do nothing about the groupies. If the man slips up, he slips up. He's going to slip up whether you go on every damn road trip. There's always a way. And we're not necessarily talking about stuff, but there's always a way and time. There's always enough time. There's always a situation that could allow a man or woman to slip off and be with somebody else. Because it doesn't take a long time to do something you're not supposed to do. And all you got to do is say, and I'm not saying I've done this ever. I'm just saying, because I'm a writer and I write these things, okay?
Yeah, and you have a lot of interaction with women in the group that tell these type of stories.
Oh, yeah. I have, yeah.
And then if you have no other evidence, you have me.
I wasn't going to put you in it.
That's fine. We can put me in it.
But it doesn't take a lot to slip off to be with somebody. You can make a call and say, meet me here, and then tell the person that you're with, I got to go to the bathroom, or I got to make a call, and just be gone for 10 minutes and have a quickie with somebody. It does not take a lot. So you cannot be, unless you literally are a dog following this man around everywhere he fucking goes, you cannot ensure that he will not sleep with somebody else or get hit from somebody else or, you know what I mean, kiss somebody else. Like, you can't be sure of that. Right. So The only thing you can be sure of is yourself and be secure in your marriage. And this is what I'm saying. There is relationship security where you are secure in the knowledge that the two of you are solid. Once you have that, which sometimes takes a little while. For me, I feel like after our first year, I got to the point where I was like, you know what? We're not fucking this up. We're actually figuring this out. And I learned how to become a better wife because at that point, I could relax. I felt like there wasn't things for me to worry about, that we were actually going to do this thing and we were doing it. And after I got to that point, it was like there was no more worry. There was no more insecurity. It just got real chill after that. I'm sure he loved it. I know I did. And, I imagine he went through a similar process and feeling more secure as a husband. Like, I'm actually making her happy. I'm actually providing in the way that I always wanted to. Like all of those things for him started to become important and matter and make him feel safe and secure in the relationship. So once you get there, which, to me, she should be there with her husband already after all this time. Once you get there, it's cool, especially if your self-security, how you feel about yourself, being able to feel confident about who you are, no matter what's happening around you. If you have that together and your relationship security is in place, there's nothing that's going to rock you. And if it does, you immediately recover, or you recover soon enough, or you communicate with your spouse to say, here's what I'm feeling, here's why I'm feeling it. And then they do their very best, but you got to also do your very best to get back to that place where you were, where you're at peace with one another. It does not make sense to love someone so much, to trust someone so much, to hand your life over in a way that men and women do when married to each other, and then at the same time feel so unsure about that. Like you kept talking about all their babies, but probably the one or two more that are coming. Like to really build this life together, and the whole time though you're still worried about something like other women. If you are worried about that, how are you ever truly enjoying your husband? Because he's always on the road and he always has temptation. So
and this is a battle with her anxiety. So hopefully some days she does win that battle.
Oh, yeah, I imagine that there's some good days and there's some bad days.
Hopefully there are days that she wins that battle. Maybe at the time of the episode, she had lost the battle with her anxiety for that moment or just
wanted
episode.
to be transparent. And
right.
I admire people for being transparent about their insecurities, because I don't think that there's a flaw. We're flawed, but I don't think that you are any more flawed for having your insecurities. I just think that when your insecurities start to affect your relationships, it's time for you to do something about those insecurities or risk losing your relationships, because nobody should have to constantly put up with all of the anxiety you're placing on them when they have nothing to do with it. Yeah, they may have, signed up for better or worse, but it still requires some action from you to work on those things, which, in another topic, possibly that really is about what kind of things do you bring into a relationship? What's okay to bring in? What kind of baggage is okay? What type of things should you definitely deal with before getting involved or getting married? Like, what amount of crap is okay for someone else to have to deal with? Good topic, I think.
And now that's going to take a lot of self-honesty.
Mm-hmm.
But as you brainstorm that, as we record live, it's something that should absolutely be done especially when people get to a certain age, because it's probably that baggage that has destroyed numerous amounts of relationships and a marriage or two in the past, and you don't want to continue that trend. I would hope not.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, as we begin to come to a close on this topic, a couple of things that I want to make sure that we do not overlook, we as the audience here. Steph grew up with his mother and father married.
Yes.
He grew up seeing that relationship, and they are still married to this day. This might be a topic in the future as well, but he's used to being in a family environment. That means that he is probably not going to do something that's going to sacrifice his family environment because he's not used to being in the house alone. He's used to that loving environment of both parents. He knows what that feels like. He knows what the product of it is in himself and his brother. He most likely would not put his children in a position to not have mommy and daddy together as one, because that's not what he had to grow up under, and he's not going to be selfish and do something that would make his kids grow up under those conditions. But that's probably a topic for a later show.
I don't disagree. I also think that the same can be said for someone who doesn't have or did not grow up in that environment but always wanted it. They can be just as assertive and aggressive in the pursuit of having that and keeping that because it was the thing that they did not have, which is, so I think that either can breed the type of person that is very protective of their family environment. But I do not disagree with you at all.
And something that I want to make sure that women do not overlook from this topic, do not overlook how your aggressiveness, your lack of trust in that man publicly, how your attitude, how your emotions have now embarrassed him when you jump into a conversation and shut him up to make your presence felt. The same way that you don't want that man to do anything publicly to embarrass you, that man doesn't want you to do anything publicly that's going to embarrass him. And you jumping into conversations that you don't belong in will absolutely embarrass him, especially if you're coming with a level of aggression and attitude that puts him in a bad position.
Yeah.
We may shut up because we don't want to get into an argument in public. Now that you've interjected yourself into this conversation, we may let you continue on. But you have put us in a position to appear as not being a strong man, all because of your emotions about whatever is going on at that point in time, or you just might not know any better. And we will definitely talk about this topic in the episodes to come.
I love that you said that, and I love that you used the word aggressive or aggression, because one of the words that my mother always made sure I understood, and actually it was two words and the difference between them, was aggressive and assertive. They're two different words and sometimes are used interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. One thing that I am great at is being assertive. I know exactly how to speak up for myself when it's appropriate, and I know how to communicate very effectively and clearly, which is why I said when I do feel emotional about something, I often will wait to process what that feeling was really about so that I can communicate exactly what my thoughts and my feelings were and what I expect now from it. But in no way, shape, or form am I aggressive. Aggressive takes from others. When you are aggressive, you are taking space, time, conversation, place. You are taking. You are not a part of, you're not communicating back and forth in the right way, it really makes people uncomfortable. And a lot of people will say, well, you shouldn't be uncomfortable because I'm aggressive. That's me being a boss. That's me being a woman. No. You to take and to embarrass and to be loud when it's not an appropriate time to be loud, those things aren't necessarily admirable qualities to have. But at the same time, yes, you should be able to speak up for yourself, but know when and when not. There are appropriate times for everything. And especially when you're talking about your man, there is a way in which you have conversations around him, especially if it's about him. If a woman has put herself in a position that makes you uncomfortable, there's only like two ways to deal with this. Either you walk away, not because you're not the victor. You are the victor. You're the woman. You're his woman. You don't got to stand there and fight for shit. You can walk away, and I bet you if he loves you and doesn't want to lose you, he's coming after you. But don't ever put yourself in a position where you're sitting there looking like a damn fool, sitting there arguing with some woman over somebody that's yours. He's your husband, he's your man, whatever. Like, why are you having this fight? So either walk away because you are that upset and you know that you're getting ready to say some shit that's out of line, or stand there and maybe say a few things and make it very clear what your position is without embarrassing him. And I think it is valuable for us to have some sort of podcast where we discuss the types of things that are embarrassing for men and for women to have to deal with their significant others, because I think that some people don't understand. But if he is having a conversation, interrupting him is going to make him just as uncomfortable as it would make you if someone interrupted you while you were having a conversation. And if he's not done or said anything inappropriate and the person that he's talking to is, let him handle it. And if he doesn't handle it in the right way, have that conversation with him when it's over. To me, you don't have to have arguments and disagreements and be acting childish in front of other people. Like, that's between you and him. So I am in complete agreement with you. And we have now agreed probably this might be like sixth time we've agreed in the past 50 years. So I'm really impressed that we got there.
That's only because I'm tired tonight, because otherwise I'd have talked some shit.
I'm tired
and
too.
You wouldn't have agreed with anything that I said. So
I'm tired. Woo, I'm ready to close out.
Let's go ahead and close out.
But first, I wanted to give our listeners an opportunity to comment below this episode and let us know what your thoughts are. Not necessarily about Aisha specifically, but women in general and their insecurities with their relationship or their own self insecurities involving, their men and other women approaching them. And also, are you someone who wants to have male attention even though you're involved in a relationship? Is that something that you seek? What do you think about it? Please comment below. So I want to thank you all for listening in to The Universe is Talking. If you did enjoy this, please like, comment, and subscribe to be notified of new episodes every week.